I guess I wanted to talk about discomfort and leaning into discomfort, um, particularly during in this epidemic. Um, and the epidemic that I'm talking about is actually about the epidemic of Black people being killed, um, which coincides with a pandemic. I guess it's a pandemic because a pandemic is worldwide. It happens in multiple countries. So perhaps it is a pandemic, but and it's not something new, but it's something that's been being brought to light more so in the last couple of days because of the horrific things that are happening. So I wanted to talk about leaning into discomfort, and this is for white people. Um, so yeah, a couple disclaimers. I mean, one, I I post stuff, and I try to do it in an intentional way, but I think I've certainly had some fear, as many people do, around speaking publicly and doing it wrong, um, and just needing to acknowledge that I will get it wrong sometimes. Not saying that that we should just be going about things thoughtlessly and being like, well, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. Talking about being thoughtful, but just acknowledging that you're going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong, and asking myself, like, when I get it wrong, not if, when I get it wrong, am I willing to hear criticisms, um, about or suggestions and not make it about me, or um, not getting upset or defensive and not asking BIPOC people, um, Black, Indigenous people of color, for those who are new to the party, um, not asking them to do the emotional processing with me when I do get it wrong. I guess also some hesitation for me is not wanting to be teaching on topics that BIPOC people have been and are teaching on um, forever, and who have all kinds of resources available um, that they deserve to be paid for. Um, I'm not talking about um, not having the conversations with family members, or the difficult conversations with coworkers, and doing that work with like other white folks. That's the work of white folks to do. I'm just talking about not wanting to situate myself as any sort of authority on something I have no idea or experience in, and anything I do know I've learned from BIPOC people. So, um, I guess I've been doing a lot of processing, as I hope you have been too, about why white people in particular, but why we're only vocal when things are um, really bad or really obviously bad. When people and Black, Indigenous people have been telling us forever that things are hard and bad, and but I know there's a lot of um, criticism of white folks only doing performative work, anti-racist work, um, and or doing it for a week after something happens, and then someone gets killed, and then we do it, we get enraged again. But the reality of our privilege is that we get to forget about it if we want, and go on. um, and I know I've certainly been guilty of that. So I'm just reflecting on that, I guess. Why I'm doing, and what more so what I'm not doing. Um, and my privilege in being able to be really sad and uncomfortable, but then turn it off or get distracted and move on. Um, yeah, and I've been thinking about how do I commit to this work in a way that is non-performative and is meaningful, um, and like what are being really um, mindful about what my reasons are for doing it. Are you doing it because you want a pat on the back, or are you to alleviate guilt, or are you doing it because well, Black Lives Matter? So I guess that was a disclaimer. I don't know. I wanted to talk about again. So I think I was saying like I'm not here to educate per se. There are lots of resources out there that are, like I said, by people of color, Black, Indigenous people of color, who have been putting a lot of, time and energy into the work and deserve to be paid for it. So um, I encourage you to look for those resources. I'll be, I guess, suggesting some as I go through them and do the work myself. Um, and obviously you can do things like donate to causes, or sign petitions, and um, call political leaders and go to protests, etc. There are all kinds of things right now, which is great, and I hope it continues circulating about resources. I have some in my bio, and I posted them on Facebook. So those are things that you can do. But the thing that I wanted to talk about, I guess, as it relates to some of the other topics I've been talking about, is just sitting with discomfort. There's a lot of discomfort in this work and in what's happening right now. Um, and the process, isn't that different than in ways I've talked about sitting with discomfort in the past. For one, just acknowledging that like it's uncomfortable, and you're not we're not entitled to not be uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable, asking yourself why. Um, and asking yourself, why is it uncomfortable? What are the thoughts that are coming up for you? um, I really encourage people. I've been doing it myself. Oh, I just froze there on Instagram in a really flattering way. um, i've been I've been doing it myself, and will continue to ask myself, why am I uncomfortable? What's coming up for me? What feelings are coming up for me? um, for a lot of folks, maybe that's an easier thing to recognize. um, I think shame is a big one that comes up. At least it does for me. Um, a lot of shame, guilt, depending on how 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 deep it runs, I guess. Um, Anger, um, and like asking yourself, what do I do when I am feeling guilt, or what do I do when I'm feeling sadness? Like, do you numb out? Do you just swipe past things? Um, do you get angry or defensive? Those are all things to note about how you respond. And I encourage us to just sit with that, um, and actually do some work around writing out your thoughts around the political climate and the fact that Black people are being killed. Um, and you don't have to share it with anyone. And please process that on your own or with other white people. Um, Asking yourself, like writing out those things about what your thoughts are, and some of them are probably, if you're being honest, really uncomfortable. But it is, I think, a necessary piece of the work. Um, and just allowing yourself to sit in that discomfort and know that, like, um, that is part of growing, that is part of social justice, that is part of um, change, and that we don't deserve, we aren't entitled to not be uncomfortable. um, we're certainly able and privileged to turn that off, um, but I invite us to sit in it. And so, yeah, and to use that, to not just sit in it, but to use it to mobilize you, um, to do the work um, that needs to be done. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. Hi. Or if anyone's still here. But that was my little ramblings. Anyway, I'm happy to talk more with folks about how to sit in discomfort, and recognizing what that feels like in your body and what you do when you're feeling uncomfortable. Um, and like I said, um, happy to be sharing resources as I learn them as well. But let me know what your thoughts are, what it's like to sit in that discomfort, and so that we can do the work that we need to do. Okay, that's it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.